Dude, we're going to start this morning talking Nets and Lakers. They tip off tonight at 10 p.m. at Staples Center. LeBron was asked earlier this week about the Nets trio of superstars being the best Big Three ever. His response, quote, "Have we forgot about KD, Steph, and Clay already?" So, Joy, which Big Three would you rather have? KD, Steph, and Clay, or KD, Kyrie, and Harden?
I would rather have KD, Steph, and Clay. Thank you, LeBron. How soon we forget. KD, Steph, and Clay won 2 championships. Steph and Clay were part of the greatest regular season team in NBA history. There was no ego on this team. There was no, I'm not going to show up for work for a couple days and not tell anyone where I am. These guys were amazing together. We weren't talking about, are they going to play any defense? We know Clay is a great defender. All 3 of them can make big shots in any moment. And that's not to say that the Brooklyn Nets can't, but I've already seen what KD, Steph, and Clay can do together. The Brooklyn Nets, Harden, KD, and Kyrie have played 7 games together. Let's calm down a little bit. I love new shiny things. We all do. But let's not disrespect what the Warriors did. I know everyone is trying to move on from that dynasty. They were complaining about the dominance. No, I want KD, Steph, and Clay. They were amazing together. They accomplished a lot together. And I think a big part of their success was because KD came to a team that was already established, not only in culture, but the stars worked well together. All the role players knew what they needed to do. I would take KD, Steph, and Clay over KD, Kyrie, and Harden any day.
Excellent stuff, Joy. I'm going to piggyback on what you said. I'm going with the Golden State guys. One, their pieces just fit better together. It's as simple as that. None of their guys, Steph or Clay or KD, were ball dominant. Instead, they move without the basketball. That makes it a lot easier to come together and play. Now, look, Brooklyn, they've come together very well. I've been pleasantly surprised by how smooth they've been on offense. Still, that only happened when James Harden decided to pull back and adjust his game. With Golden State, there was no need for adjustment. There was never a question of whether those 3 would work together because of the way they played. Whereas with Brooklyn, you had Harden having to change his game and a lot of questions because James and Kyrie are ball-dominant dribblers. All right, so they're great ISO guys. But I'd rather have a threesome based on ball movement and shooting than a threesome based on each individual is just a great ISO player. That leads me to the second thing, the shooting. They were better shooters in Golden State. As good as Harden and Kyrie are as far as shooting the ball, Steph Curry's the greatest shooter in NBA history. So great that he changed the way the game of basketball is played. We used to think jump shooting teams couldn't win championships. Now everybody's shooting jumpers. And if he's the best, Clay is arguably the second best shooter of all time. Then defense, Joy mentioned it. Klay Thompson is a legitimately good defender. He made an all-NBA defensive team. Obviously, Kyrie and Harden leave a lot to be desired on that end. And Steph, not a great defender by any stretch, but he did lead the league in steals one year. KD was younger then, probably a slightly better defender then. She mentioned, Joy mentioned drama. There's none with Golden State. With Brooklyn, I got to worry about Kyrie. Yeah, he's playing great, but he went AWOL for a week and a half. Will he do it again? It's actually possible. Will he be satisfied playing shooting guard for the rest of the season, or will he get antsy and want the ball in his hands more? And why didn't he play the other night? I mean, he's sitting out with back tightness that I think is a rest day. So you don't need that. He should be on the court playing as much as he can with James Harden, if not with him and KD. And finally, I'll say this. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson proved that they could win a championship as the leaders of the team. They didn't need a transcendent all-time player like LeBron James or even Kevin Durant to lead them to a title. They did it themselves, and Steph was that transcendent player. KD has yet to prove that. He can prove he's be the best player on the championship team, but he has yet to prove he can lead his own team to a title. Obviously, Harden hasn't proven it, and Kyrie hasn't either. Even though he hit one of the greatest shots in league history, that was LeBron's team. LeBron carried them for the most part, even as Kyrie was great. And Kyrie has won one playoff series in his career without LeBron James. So Golden State, without question, is the top big three between these two.
Yeah, I agree with both of you, and you both have laid it completely out. But for me, it is those three with the Warriors, KD, Steph, and Klay, simply because of their unselfishness. Like, if we just focus on that, their ability to shoot, we all know they're better shooters. But for me, what stood out most was their ability to be unselfish. Steph Curry, two-time MVP, taking a side step, not a back seat to Kevin Durant, but just stepping to the side and allowing Kevin Durant to insert what he was going to bring to that team. And it just fits seamlessly because you have a guy in Klay Thompson that is going to be complimentary all the time. That is what his role was, and that is what his role still continues to be, even though he's sidelined right now. But when you look at KD, and KD is the reason why this is even a thought, in my opinion. But I felt like when he went to the Warriors, we knew he was a good defender with OKC, but they highlighted what he could do on the defensive end and brought his defensive abilities to the forefront simply because he didn't have to carry the load on the offensive side like he did with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, when you go to a team that has shooters like Klay and Steph and the ability around you, it makes you a more efficient player. And that was what was so scary about that Golden State trio there. They just had so many weapons and so many guys that did not have to be big time scorers at every second of the game. But they also understood that, look, any one of us can close the game. And they were so unselfish that if anyone was hot, if anyone had the hot hand, they continued to go back to that well. Now, when you look at Kyrie and Harden, specifically Kyrie Irving, he's one of those guys that, yes, he is an elite scorer, but he's a ball stopper. Like he wants to garner that attention. And I just don't think that when you look at the Warriors and you look at this big three, like Joy said, and you said it too, Chris, we haven't seen enough. So can Kyrie be that guy that steps to the side and be complimentary and become more of a impact role player? Not that he can't be a superstar, but can he play that role? It's yet to be seen. So I got to go with the guys who went to 3 straight NBA finals, who could have possibly won all 3 had they been healthy, KD and Steph, or KD and Klay. So I like that trio, and with Golden State, they were special, and they are something that we should always be reminded of, as LeBron gave us that out.
Greg, the unselfishness part is what I was going to reemphasize, because I would say, Chris, I disagree with you. I don't know that we knew it was going to work perfectly in the beginning. We knew their games would work, but this was Steph's team. It was Steph's city, and he stepped aside, already a superstar, to allow space for Kevin Durant to come in and immediately take over that team. That didn't happen with the big three we saw before with the Miami Heat. We all remember how that first year went, and Dwayne Wade had to have that conversation with LeBron James. This is your team, this is your city, and we all know what happened from there. So the lack of ego, the culture, the established winning mentality that was already there with the Warriors all played a massive role in their success. And I'm not saying that Brooklyn can't get there, but Kyrie just had that conversation with Harden about being the point guard, which I think is a very important conversation. And I like to hear that because, to Greg's point and to yours, Chris, roles were so important on the Warriors, and they'll be very important for the Brooklyn Nets. But, you know, these are kind of interesting personalities in Harden and Kyrie. We know KD can do it. So that's what I still need to see before I even start having the conversation about whether they can even get close to what the Warriors accomplished.
Yeah, Joy, I never had a doubt, never an inkling, never a hint that those 3 in Golden State would work. I mean, we obviously know they went and recruited KD, but Steph's personality, that was one of the things that drew KD to Golden State, was the fact that they were selfless, and the way they moved the ball, the way they shared the basketball, the way they recruited him. I had no question that it would work in Golden State, also because of the way they played the game. None of them had to have the ball a lot for them to get their 20-some-odd points. But I think the question now, because obviously, even if you like Brooklyn's Big-3 better than Golden State's, you can't say they're better at this point because, as you said, they've only played 7 games. They have yet to play a playoff series together and things like that. So the question is, how much can they win? That Golden State team, nobody was going to beat them. Greg, you said they may have won the championship if they had been healthy. They would have. There's no question about it. I think they would have won it just with Clay. But had they had KD and Clay, there's no question they would have won it. They just demolished one of the greatest players ever, LeBron James, some say the greatest, who also had a Hall of Famer in Kyrie Irving and a guy that was at one point on a trajectory for a Hall of Fame in Kevin Love. And they just were no contest for them. And so that team was not going to be beaten. This Brooklyn team